All right. So here's what I have on the annuity web, which should be pretty close to what the lecture, recorded lecture, gave you. But we have an input screen with, at present, a single amount of deposit, monthly deposit, an interest rate, and a term. And we found that by using the expression language, we could nicely recover the values once an annuity object had been created. But if there's no annuity object, such as on the start of the program, it doesn't give us unexpected zeros and such. And then the submit goes to an annuity calc process, which is intercepted by our annuity calc servlet. And so the servlet pulls the values for amount, rate, and term, creating an error message string as needed. There's term. And it uses the annuity object, which was given to you as part of the spec. So if the error message is not empty, we're going to go back to the input screen and we use the request set attribute for the error message. But we discovered that in order to now keep the annuity object, we create a session object, or not create, we really obtain the session object from the request because it's generated at the browser side. And then we have that session, which is really just a memory pointer. And to that memory pointer, we can begin adding attributes. So we set the annuity as an attribute on the session, and we move ahead. An annuity does everything we need it to do. Let's see, we did create an empty annuity, and then as we pulled the values, we ran the appropriate set methods to fill in the annuity. But assuming we get as far as the results page, I think this is what I saw in the video. I had it left as using the expression language to just display the values out of the annuity. Is that right? So we're going to make a change to this page. We're going to go back to an older style, and really it is discussed in the text. It's really there just for completeness sake. You might still run into this kind of code out in the wild if you end up coding JSPs. And that is, there are JSP tags which will let us access the annuity objects that, or whatever objects we have. They're actually called beans, so it'll let us access the beans. Now, have we talked about that fact that a Java bean is just a plain old Java object that follows specific naming conventions? I don't know if that was in any of the lectures that you've already seen. But here we have our annuity object, which is a plain old Java object. It has an empty constructor, it has an overloaded constructor that takes the values, and then it has get and set methods. And to be a bean, the basic rules are you need an empty constructor, and then any methods that you want to process against, whether they're get methods or set methods, have to have this lowercase get or set prefix, or is. If it's a Boolean, it can be an is prefix. And then the name of the property starts with a capital letter after the prefix. And that lets the expression language and all the other tools operate against the bean. And if you have methods that you never call, like, well, build annuity is private, but if you have other methods that might be gets and sets, but they're not called from this particular application, you don't have to redesign those. You can leave them if they're unused. But anyway, the other methods will still work fine as a bean. Okay, so we've got this annuity object that builds the values, and right now annuity results and annuity schedule are exactly the same, because I was just showing the principle of attaching to the session, which keeps the value available on the server side, so it can keep looking at the annuity object on this, in server memory. So let's go back to annuity, and then I challenged you, I think at the end of the recording, I think I do this most of the time, challenge you about deleting the object, because if we run this, we'll run it one time here. If we run the application and put in $100 a month at 6 1/4 for 24 months, and we calculate, we can go forward and backward to the schedule. Oh, I don't have my links. But if we had a link that took us back to the main page, we'd still be seeing this because the annuity is still in memory. So even if you go backwards to the input page, if you attach that annuity object to the session, it's there, and you're going to see this data. And of course, we at certain point after the schedule, if we've calculated and done the schedule, if we have a return link at that point, we don't want to see the annuity. We want it to disappear. And so that was, I guess mine differs, but we'll get back to that in a little bit. Let me show you this technology, which is, as I say, legacy technology. But if we go to the results page, instead of using the expression language, because it didn't exist for a time, there was another tool that was used, and it actually, the idea, which was noble but completely ridiculous, the idea was that non-programmers, non-Java programmers, could use this technology to populate their HTML pages, their JSP pages, if you had someone else doing the design, the view design, versus somebody doing the programming. And so this was an attempt to say, well, we can have non-technical people still access our data elements. And of course, it never worked that way. You always had to be a programmer to do it. But here's what we're going to do. We're actually going to, and then stop me if this was in the lecture, and I'll bypass. I don't think it was, though. The JSP tags. We're going to create a new kind of tag on the JSP page. And this JSP tag is going to use the bean. So there's a use bean JSP tag, which will allow us to access memory objects. And so I want to double click on that. And so and you can't mix and match this. So you can't mix expression language that uses the bean with JSP tag. So it's an either or. But the first entity is the ID. So this is the name of the object in memory, which is the bean, so the annuity object. So in our servlet, we put an item called annuity on the session. And after that, we're going to tell the application where to look, or we're going to tell the JSP, or by the JSP tag, the server will know where to look, and it is session. So the ID, the annuity object that's in memory, and remember the JSP is still being processed by the server, so it's all happening on the server. So we've got a bean, which is a plain old Java object with proper naming. It's in memory. We called it annuity when we attached it as an attribute to the session, and we're telling it now this is scope is session, and the class, it needs to know the class that this memory object matches so that it can properly retrieve the memory. And so the class is business.annuity. And that takes a slash and an end tag. All right. Now you don't need the import when you because you've explicitly identified business.annuity, that's enough. So we now have a bean called annuity, and you can have multiple beans that you're accessing if your page needs multiple values. And instead of the expression language, we're going to replace all of the get calls with these JSP tags. So the first JSP tag after the bean declaration is down here at the deposit. So we're going to do a JSP, and it is a get property. So there's a get property type of JSP tag. And the other thing is that JSP tags can do sets as well, which the expression language can't. But of course, doing a set in a JSP page to a memory bean was determined to be bad practice anyway. So we really don't want set. So they didn't carry the idea of set over to the expression language. It was, as I say, considered bad style. But anyway, we're going to do a get property. So the name of our object is annuity. That's the ID of our bean. And after we name it, we have to give the property, and the property follows the same rules as the expression language. So the property is not, what are we looking for here? Deposit. It's not get deposit with a capital D. It's throw away the get, and the capital D becomes lowercase. So just like the expression language, we have instead a JSP get property. And we'll do the same for the rate. So JSP get property. Our name is annuity. And then our property is, I'll bring it in from here, is rate, because we have a get rate method. And so we throw away the get, and the R that was capital becomes lowercase. So just a couple more here. JSP, get property from annuity. Property this time is final value, and so that is a lowercase f on final, but a capital V on value, just the way, because of the way I named the item. And then term, lastly the term. So JSP get property, name equals annuity, property is term. So that's not, there's nothing that's earth-shaking there, but just again to show you this feature of JSP tags, which is, as I say, a kind of a legacy technology, but you still might see it around. So we should find that this works now exactly the same as it did before. So we'll try running it. Oh, my session hasn't expired, so I'm still seeing the annuity object is still there. Well, there you go. So 100, 6 1/4, 24. We calculate, and there we go. So now we're looking at the values again. Oh, my percent doesn't come out very well because of the data source, the annuity. I should probably fix that. But anyway, there are my values. So just to change to show you, and we won't use them again. From now on, everything will be expression language and other more modern technology. But there you go, in case you see JSP tags around town. Okay, now we have the more interesting issue of creating the schedule. And the schedule, our basic problem, is that we can't, just using the expression language, we can't easily get to sub-elements of a list. In other words, if we look at our annuity schedule, what we really want to do here is we want to get the deposit. Well, deposit will be the same, but we will want to get values, beginning balances, ending balances, and so forth, from every month of the term of the annuity. And you can't easily do that with the expression language. It would be tempting, and when I have more time in the class than just the hour and 15 minutes that we meet each week, I sometimes have students try this. You could use regular scriptlet tags and try to create a little for loop and then process the for loop using expression code, and you eventually find out that you can't do it. It just doesn't work to get a loop and then have the expression language get more deeply into the object. So we won't waste our time trying to do that. What we're going to end up doing is we're going to build a list object that contains all of the values for a specific month. And then we've got a new technology. Oops, I even accidentally forgot to delete it out of my code here. We've got a new technology called the JSTL, the Java Standard Tag Library. And we're going to use the feature in the tag library to iterate over a list object. But we have to build the list object first. So what I chose to do is in my business class or business package, I'm going to build something called an annuity month. So if you right click and ask for a new Java class, this is going to be annuity month, plain old Java object, but it will be a bean so that we can use it within our JSPs. And the Java month is going to have the following values. I'm going to have a private int that is in fact the month, so the numeric value of the month that this instance represents. And then we're going to have a private double for the values we need on that line. So beginning balance, deposit, interest earned, and ending balance. But those are individual values. It's not an array. So the annuity month is everything you need for a single line of the table. And then we're just going to create a list element which contains all annuity months that we need. Let's see. I'm also then going to have, I did this as a global, I'm not sure why, a number format. So private number format, currency is a number format, get currency instance. And now I'm going to build my bean. So the first rule is that we have to have an empty constructor. So annuity month, and we'll set 0 values everywhere. So month, beginning balance, deposit, interest earned, and ending balance are all set to 0 in our empty constructor. But then we're going to have an overloaded constructor that does receive all of the necessary data for a month. So a public annuity month overloaded constructor that receives an int for month, a double for beginning balance, a double for deposit, a double for interest earned, and a double for ending balance. And we simply need to move all of those values into our globals. So I'm going to do a quick copy and paste from my empty constructor, but then the zeros need to be replaced by the parameter values. So M into month, BB into beginning balance, DEP into deposit, interest earned into I earn, and EB, ending balance, into eBal. Well, it so happens that the refactoring feature of the IDE is pretty good at building beans for us. So it will build the proper names for things in bean format if we just do a refactor. So tell me if I need to pause for a minute while you're catching up on any typing. But if not, we'll go ahead and refactor. So annuity month, right-click, refactor, and we are encapsulating our fields. All of those globals will be encapsulated. Well, all that we select. So I think we want everything here. So, oh, not obviously currency. There's no, so it actually, because that number format was a global, it put it in there. So we need to select, we can do a select all and then deselect currency. So there's no get or set for the cur variable. But everything else, month, BBAL, deposit, interest earned, ending balance, we want get and sets to follow bean naming rules. And Java doc, I'm going to say none. Those default comments are really kind of useless, so I'm going to remove the default comments. But we are ready to refactor and have it build our bean for us. Yeah, I wish that thing wouldn't keep popping up. Okay, so let's take a look through our annuity month. I'll check my notes here and see if I have what I'm supposed to have. I've got my constructors. I have gets and sets for every component that goes on the line. I have all my schedule values. Okay. Now the question is, how are we going to get our list of annuity months once we have an annuity built? And so my proposal is that the annuity object itself be able to produce the list of annuity or months that it would need to build a schedule. So if you think about it again, we're going to have a single annuity object in memory. When we get to the schedule page, the JSP, we need to have all of these annuity months available, and we're going to have them available in a collection, the collection being an array list is a simple enough collection. But how does the schedule get the right annuity months? It's going to ask the annuity to produce that collection. So I'm going to make a change to my annuity.java. And the change, I'll put it down here at the bottom, is going to be a method to get months. And so it's going to be a public, the return value, now this is the important point, the return value is an array list of annuity month type objects, and we're going to call it get months. Now there are a couple of things here. First of all, the annuity.java class doesn't have an import yet for array list. So that's the error that I'm seeing right here. So if I click on that, I will add an import for Java util array list. And it might, in some cases, occur that it doesn't know about annuity month, but since I put both Java objects in the business package, I don't have to do an import for annuity month because it's in the same package. So it knows about annuity month in this package. Now it's still not happy because it says, hey, you're not returning your annuity, your array list. So let's create an actual object inside the method, which will be our array list of annuity month entities. I'll call it MOS for months, and I'll build it as a new array list. And it just occurred to me that this will tell me if I have the right JDK specified. I guess I do. So that the need to repeat in the generic that's inside the brackets, the diamond, is not, you don't have to put it on the right-hand side in later versions of the JDK. So let me just double check that. I'm going to right-click and look at the properties of the JDK. I'm at 8, so yeah, if it were older than 6, I think, or maybe even older than 7, it would complain about needing an entry on the second diamond, but I don't. Okay, so how are we going to return it? Well, let's do our check, our sanity check. So if not built, we have a little built Boolean. So if not built, we'll try to build annuity, and I'm just going to assume that that's going to work now. We could put in a fail-safe, but I think we're okay on that. So if it's not built yet, we build it. But now we have a built annuity, so I'm going to go through a for loop for all months of the term, and I'm going to build an annuity month for every month that I have in my term. So for integer I starting at 0, going up to the term. I've not been good at using the keyword this all over. Well, in the annuity month that I just built, I didn't use the keyword this very much. I hope everybody's okay with the fact that, you know, if you need to indicate a global versus a local variable, you do need the this keyword. Anyway, so I'm going up from 0 up to the term and incrementing I each time. But what happens through all of these values? I'm going to create an annuity month M as a new annuity month, and then I'm going to use the overloaded constructor, and I'm going to put it, whoops, if I could spell annuity properly, I'm going to put it on separate lines just for readability's sake. So what happens is I create a new annuity month that uses the loop variable as the month, but that has to be I plus 1, the way I structured it. So I plus 1 is the month. The next entity is the beginning balance. So we're going to send this beginning balance at position I to the annuity month constructor. And then we're going to send the deposit. So this deposit is the next entry in my overloaded, we'll double check this, overloaded constructor. So it was month, beginning balance, deposit, then the interest earned, and that's also going to be I as I work through this loop, and then finally ending balance at I. So I build my annuity month M, and then all I have to do is add it. So I add each M to my array list of months, and I eventually return that array list. So we're still only thinking of one annuity, but now we've got, 12, 24, 36, however many months the annuity is going to run. We've now created a separate annuity month object that is a specific month, and we've collected all of those into an array list of months. And so the annuity class can get months to whoever needs it, and as it happens, it'll be our JSP page that needs it. We okay? Make sense, at least, so far? Stop me if I'm getting too far ahead on any of the typing, because I think we are now ready, given that we have the annuity already in memory from the annuity calc servlet, we can look at the schedule. Now, I've got something in my project that I forgot to delete out and should have deleted, and that is this JSTL standard tag library. So let me do a couple of things. I'm going to delete this. And in my libraries, I'm going to delete that library. Okay, so your project should look like mine now as far as the schedule is concerned. And let me just double check the calc annuity servlet. I think that does everything we need, because it's going to pull the values, it's going to error trap them, and it's going to send a error message back if need be. Otherwise, it attaches the annuity to the session, and it forwards itself, and that would forward itself to annuity results. That's the JSP. Annuity results actually has a form action which calls the annuity schedule directly, and this is the advantage of putting our annuity month business all inside the annuity object and its sub-object, because now we can directly call annuity schedule, and as long as we have annuity in memory, we should be able to get the values that we need. But to make this work with the standard tag library, we have to add that library. So here is the steps for that. So you select libraries, and you right-click, and you add a library. And in the list should be some other libraries we're going to use eventually, like Eclipse Link and Hibernate. But down here, later on, is JSTL. So the Java standard tag library is available. Oh, and we're going to use the JDBC driver too, but not yet. So you select JSTL and click Add Library, and it just puts it in your list of libraries and therefore makes it accessible to your project. So here's how we're going to access it. We're going to go to Annuity Schedule, and I've got a page directive for importing business. I needed that, and I will still need it because we're still going to be using objects out of the business package. But I now need to gain access to the tag library for what is essentially a for each tool. So I do it as follows. It's a scriptlet, but it's a taglib. So %@taglib is the scriptlet. And the prefix, and this is just by standard or by convention, the prefix is C. So that now anytime we create our own tags that start with C, we're actually going to be referencing something in the standard tag library. The URI is the resource, so it's kind of like a URL, but it's an internal a project resource, and that needs to have the following: http://java/sun.com/JSP/JSTL/core. So there are actually a couple of parts to the JSTL tag library, and we're using the core elements of JSTL, which is why the prefix C is used. But this is our URI, so this is an internal project resource that exists because of the import of the JSTL libraries. So once we do that, I'm going to delete out all of this code, the annuity from the annuity schedule, or from that P down to the P. We aren't going to show that information anymore. We're just going to show the table. I don't think I showed No, I don't repeat the header information. So we could, but I'll leave it out. All right, so here's how we're going to make our schedule work. First of all, we need a table, or at least, I don't know if we need a table, but it's probably the easiest way to handle it. So I'm going to create a table tag with a border of 1, so we're seeing the border. And then the first row of items are the headings. So the first heading is the word month. And I'm sorry, this is just a little bit of typing we have to get through. Second column, second heading on the column is beginning balance. Next heading is the deposit amount, even though it's the same amount every month. It wouldn't have to be, so that's how I put it in the spec. And after deposit, we're going to have interest earned as the next column, and then the final column as ending balance. Okay. Now the fun begins. And remember, this is all still happening on the server. So the server is going from an annuity results page that it produced and sent to the browser. That browser has done a submit from a form that calls an annuity schedule JSP, so we're going straight from the browser to this JSP page, but the JSP page is always processed on the server to render the HTML. And here's how we access the for each capability. We're going to ask from the C group, there it is, we want there's an if and some other stuff that we'll use from time to time. But right now we're going to go with the for each, so C colon indicating it's the core, JSTL core, that's the prefix. So on for each, the for each needs an individual variable. So every time through this for each loop, we're going to put our annuity month into a variable, which I'm going to call ANNMO, annuity month. But that's going to be an individual annuity month. Where does that individual annuity month come from? It comes from the items, the collection, which is, here it comes, expression language, annuity dot months. So get months, we have get months as a method now of our annuity class, and we can use the expression language to ask for that value, but that value is an array list. And so the JSTL with the for each is able to interpret that array list as a collection of items. It will iterate through every one of those annuity month array list entries, put it in a variable called annuity month, or ANNMO, but now we know that inside the for each loop, we have an object, which is annuity month, called ANNMO, and we can use the expression language now to access the specific elements of that object. So we're going to mix and match some HTML code here. So first of all, in a row, we're going to have a cell element. I'm going to align it as right. And the first cell is the month. So we use the expression language to say, all right, out of the ANNMO object, which is our annuity month, we're going to do the get month call, but of course it's expression language, so you throw away the get, and the M of month becomes lowercase. And now the secret is revealed, and so we should be able to do the rest of them in exactly the same way. We don't have to worry about array index values. That was baked into our annuity month object. So we're going to have annuity month dot get bval is the second entry, and we're going to align right with annuity month deposit. So get deposit. Oops. And then the interest earned, which is annuity month I earn. I wish the environment NetBeans were a little smarter, that it could figure out, you know, the methods that are available to annuity month, so you could see it right on the screen. But oh well, it's a little too deep for it, I guess. But the final one is then expression language call to annuity month ending balance. And so the server will process the JSTL for each, going through every month of our array list of annuity months and building a row with the proper column values. And so our program can be tested again, only this time we hope we'll have an actual table of results. So let's see. We'll run it. I'll go with my $100 at 6 1/4, but we'll go for just 12 months. Calculate. There's our entries. Got to fix that percent. I'll leave that to you. There's 1241.41 at the end of 12 months, and our schedule says we crashed. Oh, what did I mistype? Let's see. An exception occurred. Stack trace. The root cause. Annuity.month. Property months not found in my... Oh, really? That's because it's months. It was plural. I'm pretty sure. Let's double check that. So annuity was, yeah, get month. So I was trying to call that method and I didn't spell it properly. So back to the schedule page, get months with an S, plural. It's the annuity month that gets an individual month, but the collection is all months. And we'll try it once more. Hope that that's the only error. No, it's still remembering me, so we'll calculate again. Oh, right, $sign. Sorry. And there we go. Not formatted properly. I'm going to leave that to you as well. But we've got the values all the way down to 1241. Now, the problem with the formatting is that we're dealing with an annuity month object, and so it has to supply the formatting. So what I've neglected is in my annuity month, when I let it refactor, I did a get beginning balance. Oh, and I guess I set myself up, and I was probably going to show you that. So instead of sending the raw value on the gets, we need to send the formatted values, which are actually strings. Let's do one, and then you can see how to do the rest. So public double get beginning balance is going to become public string get beginning balance, and it's going to return the currency format of beginning balance. The interesting thing here is that if we don't rebuild, the JSP page is likely to still see the get bal as a double. In fact, let's run it with just those changes. Let's run it, and I think it will crash. We'll try again. No, it didn't crash. Okay, well, I guess it rebuilt it for me. Anyway, there's our beginning balance when formatted version, so you'll need to fix your annuity month all the way down. Now, the main thing that you are going to need to do is change the structure so that annuity input page and the annuity class allows for a second deposit amount. So now we're going to have a deposit at the beginning of the month which is what we've got now, plus a deposit at the end of the month. So I'm giving you a little, it's almost like a make-work exercise because, you know, logically it works, but it's kind of a silly distinction. But anyway, values at the beginning of the month don't or earn interest in that month. Deposits at the end of the month won't earn interest until the next month. That was the thinking behind it. So you're going to have to add that. And do I have the spec showing here? Whoops, not that. Yes, I've got it somewhere. Annuity Web. So we've changed it. Did I don't remember if I gave you some. Yeah, some. So we are going to have payment beginning of month, end of month, and then you'll need to modify all of your objects, your internal objects, annuity, annuity month, to have schedules, building, and so forth for 2 different deposits. Now the only other thing that seems to throw students on this one from time to time is that on your input, you need to allow one or the other of the deposits to be 0. The only invalid input is both deposits 0. That makes no sense. But don't if you don't, and this will have to be done in the servlet, you're going to have code that says, okay, well, if beginning month is 0, that's okay as long as I have something in the end of the month, or vice versa. So watch for that. And then our last bit is the question of clearing the object out of memory. So, but I take it no one really worked on that issue per se. No, no solutions are immediately available. So the problem is, and I like to keep this as a thought exercise. In fact, I tell you what, I'm going to leave that now that we have essentially the whole program. I'm going to leave that issue. It was at the end of the recording. I'm going to leave that issue for next week. So see what you can do, and the problem that you get into if you don't remember where things are happening. The attempt is often to have the JSP page do something to delete the object, and there is one way that's sort of successful to do that, but it's not universally successful. Anyway, think it through, remembering that JSP pages are processed on the server and may go back to the input screen when you want it deleted, to having been deleted, but the intermediate page in particular may go forward to a schedule page. So work on that problem. I'll leave it as your work for another piece of your work for this week to fill out the program. But I think I'm ready to turn it over to you for serious effort. I will not post another recorded lecture. I'll leave this for you to build the remainder of Annuity Web. So we'll look at that one issue of deleting the, having the new annuity button on the pages and being able to work that out correctly. So we'll look at that next week. So officially I won't make this due until the 7th. I'll give you some time to work on it. But also next week I'm going to introduce what I consider the midterm project, because amazingly enough, we've got the 28th and the 7th, and then we have spring break, so that is the midterm. But anyway, next week I'll introduce the midterm project, which I'm going to leave a lot of left to do for you, and that'll be your project. But I also, on the midterm, which is another version of my of one of my earlier programs, and we're going to use the credit card simulator. So we're going to do a credit card simulator in the web form, but we're also going to introduce AJAX technology. So that will be the part that I put in, but most of the rest of the project we release next week will be for you to do on your own as sort of as the midterm. But we just give you time to do it as a regular project. Okay, I think that's as far as I needed to go tonight.